Vercel is the platform for front-end developers, providing the speed and reliability innovators need to create at the moment of inspiration. Founded by the creators of Next.js, Vercel has zero configuration support for 35 plus front-end frameworks, including SvelteKit. We enable the world's largest brands like Under Armour, eBay, and Nintendo to iterate faster and create quality software. Try out Vercel today to experience the easiest way to use Svelte.
Hey, it's another episode of Svelte Radio. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, we're two people here. Well, actually, two in addition to me, sorry. So I'm joined by Brittney and Sean. Anthony's missing today.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good to be here. Good to catch up as well. What's new in the world of Svelte?
Yeah, what is new in the world of Svelte? But maybe first, what's new in the world of Swyx and Brittney? Like, what are you guys been up to?
Brittney, you go first.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I've been crazy busy. I did Jamstack Conf last week, and then this week I'm recovering from a cold, and I have to MC Remix Conf EU tomorrow. So a little bit of a traitor, I know. Like,
it's okay. Remix is special.
Remix is cool.
It's one of the
I
good
kinda like
ones.
it.
No,
It's one of the good
I don't know.
ones.
What do you? What have you learned from emceeing so many different things?
I think I'm just getting more comfortable with it and rolling with the punches, but also that being more prepared is better. Like, they have slides with like actual notes for everybody, and I love that. So I think I'm going to use that in the future, how I have like little notes about every talk and things going forward.
So no improv anymore? Is what
I
you're
mean,
saying?
there has to be improv. That has to exist to make it fun. But it was funny. I was adding in some of my own notes and like personal experiences to these. And the person came back to me and she's like, yeah, we're not really supposed to talk more about the sponsors. Like, just put them in here and leave this like that. I'm like, oh, okay.
All right.
So maybe I can't improv this one. We'll see.
All right. Yeah. I mean, so how many conferences have you emceed now?
I did Svelte Summit, and then I did VeeConf, and then now Remix Conf. I was going to do Nux Nation yesterday, but they had a weird situation where they had me and Jin Junod doing a different day each, and then they wanted somebody to do both days, and I was not available today, so they just went ahead and went with her, which is totally fine. Gotcha. I don't want to do 2 in 1 week anyways.
Yeah.
So
That seems reasonable. They just released version 3, I think, as well. I have no idea what's in it, but...
They did, yeah. I really am not familiar with that ecosystem either, so it was probably best that I did not do that.
Right. All right. Cool.
How about you, Sean?
I just did a writing retreat, which I know, Brittney, you wanted to come for. But there was, that was last week. And basically I led a workshop of 25 folks for 5 days straight. And that was very tiring, but honestly, one of the most fun and challenging things I've done this year. And I don't know what to conclude from that. Obviously, most people cannot do writing retreats just because you have to travel. It's 1 whole week. Like, it's a long slog. But I think people really appreciated essentially air cover for a holiday that has some professional development, but then also some like local community, right? Like that I think writing is a very lonely endeavor. And if you have a brief period where you're like talking to other people who are also interested in the same things, that's the benefit of having like a small little retreat format like that.
Yeah, it looked really nice. I saw some of the pictures. It looked like you had a good turnout. And was it good?
Yeah.
Was there a storm as well?
There was a hurricane. There's a tropical storm on the Wednesday, and then the forecast was like, okay, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is going to be like this. And so one of our attendees was actually freaked out and moved her flight so that she could leave early. And then right after she left, the storm cleared up. and it was beautiful Thursday, Friday.
Oh no! Oh, that sucks.
That does suck.
So when it comes to like a writing retreat, that must be kind of different to what you're used to doing in general.
Yeah, I've never been to a writing retreat, and here I am organizing one.
Yeah.
Well, I think partially I have modeled it essentially on what I know normal writers do. I think a lot of developer events, you try to invent from first principles, but actually you can just steal from things that exist in the regular human world and bring it over. And
there's another world? What?
Professional writers do these sorts of things, right? Like they get together and then they share their goals. They work on their own projects, but then maybe sometimes they'll do some activities together that stretches them a little bit. For me, I also served as like a mentor for people who need that kind of mentorship. But there are some people there who definitely don't need anything from me. Like they are successful authors of their own. Philip Kiley wrote Writing for Software Developers, and Monica Lentz also came, who runs blogging for developers. So I think the appeal of like, come join us, and in the morning we'll work on some skills, and in the afternoon you can work on your own projects, and then we'll get together every evening. I think that's a really good format for most people who are trying to improve on any skill. It could be writing, it could be DevRel, it could be programming. Kind of doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. I think a DevRel retreat would be really awesome.
Yeah, we actually we had 2 YouTubers there, 3 actually, and we're talking about like, what would it take for a dev YouTube retreat? Turns out there is a small little, YouTube is actually probably more developed than writing, and they've already done a couple of retreats already just among YouTube creators. And I think sometimes that can be a bit intimidating because a lot of these are very well established channels with like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And it might work that, for people who are smaller and just getting started, then you might want to do a separate thing. I don't know. Like, it is definitely true, the logistics of organizing a retreat. Like, you're no longer just creating content, you're also like telling people where to go and what time to eat, and and like if people have any other issues, you need to take care of that. So yeah, definitely needs a lot of logistical overhead, and I couldn't have done it without Michelle, who was my operational partner.
Nice. Yeah. Kevin probably knows a little bit about that, right? From Svelte Summit, like trying to organize all that.
It wasn't a retreat; it was just a conference. So
yeah, but still, like organizing and getting all the schedule and the food and all of that. You did a great job,
for sure. Yeah.
You have anything new updates?
Yes. But before that, I wanted to ask you one more question, Sean. Like you mentioned, like it's a pretty lonely thing, writing in general, right? And it is, but. Have you experimented with like writing together with someone? Because I know you write a lot of blog posts and stuff, right? So
no, I have not, because I don't think that adds anything to me. Also, my writing schedule is very random. Like sometimes it will just be like late at night, I just feel like writing and do it. Sometimes it'll be Saturday, in the afternoon after lunch or something. So I don't really have the time to schedule with someone. If we're going to sit on a Zoom call and type in silence, like I don't think it's super helpful anyway.
Yeah, like pair writing instead of pair coding.
I think occasional getting together is useful, and then for most of it, you don't have to have any accompaniment. I think it's just like nice to know that like you're not alone in facing some of the problems that you might face.
I guess it could work more of as like at the concept stage of a post or whatever, right? Like discussing the merits of something. One thing
we do now at Netlify is have pillars of the content. And so we fill out the pillars and then we share that for feedback. And so we'll get feedback on it's like your persona and like who you're writing for and what you're writing about and why you're writing it. And then you'll do your outline and get feedback on that. And then you do your post and get feedback. So it's kind of like that, but you're writing all of it. You just get feedback and comments along the way.
Nice. Yeah. So what have I been doing? I mentioned last week's episode that I was doing subtitles for all of the videos and the streams. That's now done. So we have OpenAI Whisper subtitles for all of the videos on the channel, and even some translated ones as well. So you can go back and watch the Svelte Society Day France 2020 if you want to, with
Thank
English
you so
subtitles.
much for doing that. That's amazing.
It's actually, I'm very tempted to build like a service that does this.
Yeah, I think that
so I don't have
there's
to
some
do this
automation work
manually.
that we could do there to make it easier on you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I already have like an outline of what I want to build around this. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, that sounds fun.
But yeah, so
Do it
other
on
than
stream.
that, yeah, maybe. Unless I want to turn it into like some SaaS or something.
Oh, yeah. And then keep it secret.
Yes. It's not a very hard thing to build, though, I suppose. Anyway, yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been working a bit on the kit-based template thing, upgrading the Pocket Base version to 0.8, which is a pretty large update. So there's a lot of things that are broken that need fixing. So I'm currently working on that, and then I'm gonna start.
Is that the Pocket Base API that upgraded and broke something?
Mm.
Exactly. Yeah, they changed the API bit, and so I need to.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
Thanks,
right?
SvelteKit.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, so let's get into the topics that we have lined up today. First off, we have I don't know how to pronounce it. Threlte.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think Threlte.
Yeah. It's probably like the easiest way to describe it is it's a more mature version of Svelte cubed, kind of.
That was my impression as well.
Yeah.
So it's built on 3JS, is that?
Yeah, I think so.
The library that's under the hood.
Under the hood, yeah. And then I haven't been able to look at it that closely yet, but I'm going to take a look at the stream that Willow did, I think a couple of days ago, right?
Yeah, I watched a lot of the video, but I had to leave towards the end, so I missed some of it. But yeah, it looks amazing. Like, I just love all of the 3D work that you can do with these libraries. It's kind of crazy. And it's very declarative. Like Willow was mentioning, a lot of the code is like very easy to write. And rather than 3JS, you have to write more low-level stuff. This is more declarative, so you can tell a little bit easier what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like, so they posted in the subreddit as well, and I think they only had like a video, or it might even have been a game or something, like a Pong game. It looked very cool, at least. So I'm gonna post that.
That would be really cool if we start getting games built in Svelte.
Yeah, definitely. So this is actually extra interesting to me for a number of reasons. So I've been playing around with something called Remotion lately, which is a React framework for writing, I guess, videos, which is very cool. So you can programmatically write everything, all the transitions and all of that stuff. And I'm wondering if maybe you could combine that with a D3 library like Threlte. I don't know.
So to do like 3D transitions in video?
Yeah, just 3D stuff in general in videos.
That would be
Could
cool.
be fun. Yeah.
Doesn't Remotion require React?
It does. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just like thinking out loud if there's a tool like Threlte, but
can
React,
we make
I'm sure there is.
Remotion in Svelte?
I don't know.
Actually, I asked this specific question on Twitter and I got a reply. So there's actually someone who did that, but it's very much like a beta thing. It's called Svelte in Motion. And it's basically the same thing. I'm going to link that here as well.
Yeah, I tried out Remotion. I felt like it was just so hard because you have to can code every single CSS variable and transition and all the tweening or whatever. I don't think it's that productive. Like unless you want like programmatic control, like you said, it's not super productive compared to a dedicated video editing software, but I mean for sure it's there for some, it's good for some use cases, but I found it less productive compared to just producing a regular video on even Keynote, right? Like if you want to do some simple animations in Keynote, that would probably be much faster than doing it in Remotion.
Yeah, or even just using Figma or something. You could do transitions there as well. So I think for me the use case would be something like audiograms. Like you cut a bit of audio from the podcast and then maybe you put a video in the background, and then you have some text and some like audio waves that you can post on like YouTube Short or Instagram or something, or Twitter even. So that would be what I would use it for. Probably like I wouldn't edit like a full on like 1 hour video in it, I think.
Yeah.
But maybe, I don't know.
Did you see that Remotion got funding?
Yes. I was super happy with that
round as well. Pretty interesting.
And it's Remotion in general. Just it's such a cool thing. Like even if there aren't that many use cases for like longer form videos, it's just like a really cool technical thing.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe at some point we can try out Threlte and give it a review.
I know we went like from Threlte to Motion to we went through the spectrum there, but that's what we started talking about.
Yeah.
Threlte XYZ. I would say the Threlte team have been marketing every single day. They definitely been putting a lot of work into the docs.
Yes.
So this is one of the most, just serious efforts to come out of this Svelte ecosystem I've seen. It's pretty cool. Someone's really tackling this. I want to put something like this on my my own landing page or homepage. So I just need to figure out what I'm going to show.
Yeah, it's like it's awesome when you get to like a website and it has this cool like 3D thing. Yeah, even if it's just a small thing, it's very, very enticing and very. That's the
thing with 3D, right? Like, there's just so much to go over that having more and more examples is super useful. So hopefully I can find something to copy and paste.
The life of a programmer. All right, so that's Threlte. And next up, we have something called Svelte CMS, which is very much maybe not a thing yet. We only have a tweet and the video.
And a video demo.
I was going to say, I went looking for it and could not find a website or anything.
Yeah, I don't think it's launched yet. So we'll see what happens. But they tagged Svelte Society on it, and I looked at it. I was like, okay, like, it's a pretty serious CMS project, and if you want to, like a Svelte built CMS, like this might be it. But I don't know. Like I think it was an interesting new project that came on the scene this week, so I figured I'll throw it on the board.
It is. It looks really nice too. It's a nice UI.
Yeah, not much else we can really say about it.
Yeah, I wish there was like a GitHub repo or something that we could at least like look at what's going on. But
17 minutes ago, they said they will make the main repo public soon. So
look at that! Like right on time.
We'll see. Maybe
we'll put it in the show notes if we get it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. The next thing up is Sveltosis. If you haven't heard about mitosis, which is what the original one was, Builder.io released this product where you could write JSX-like code and then transfer that into other languages, including Svelte. But now Sveltosis, which was a side project, has been integrated into it. So now you can write Svelte code and also transfer that into other languages. And it is released and active. Kevin's got some bugs with it. Maybe he'll talk about.
Yeah, it looks cool. Like just if you go on the mitosis website, like the mitosis.builder.io, and you click the you'll first have the mitosis JSX thing selected, right? And then you just switch to the Sveltosis one, and just half the code disappears, which is always nice.
Yeah, I know. I love seeing like the lines disappear.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. So now you can write Svelte and export it as React, so you can write Svelte at your React job. Yay!
Exactly. So now if they won't just switch to Svelte, then you can just write it anyways.
Yeah.
And
just YOLO.
Exactly.
But there are. So I discovered a small bug with reactive statements. So if you have a function in the reactive statements, it just doesn't work. And I think the developer or someone close to the developer replied and said that there were a couple of other bugs as well.
Yeah.
But they were working on them. So
they said it was working when it was outside of mitosis, and something possibly with the migration had caused some bugs. So hopefully they will get those sorted out soon.
Yep. All right.
Vercel is the platform for front-end developers, providing the speed and reliability innovators need to create at the moment of inspiration. Founded by the creators of Next.js, Vercel has zero configuration support for 35 plus front-end frameworks, including SvelteKit. We enable the world's largest brands like Under Armour, eBay, and Nintendo to iterate faster and create quality software. Try out Vercel today to experience the easiest way to use Svelte.
All right. Next up, what's new in Svelte? It's the so we're going to talk a bit about the newsletter that came out at the beginning of the month, and I think we have one important thing in here. Well, I'm sure there are like 100 important things in this newsletter, but like one thing that stands out to me is the optional parameters thing that you can now do. So previously, you weren't really able to do language-specific sites in SvelteKit without like a lot of extra work. But now there's an optional parameter, which means that you just add like double brackets and then a word inside. So you would say bracket, bracket, lang, and then bracket, bracket. And then you could have like if you had like an English and then a Spanish site, you could have like, the default would be the English. And then if you have a domain /es/whatever, then that would be your Spanish site.
Is that in the link in the What's New in Svelte?
Yep, it says new SvelteKit feature.
Yeah, it's the second bullet point under What's New in SvelteKit.
Oh, okay. I was searching for lang when you were talking about how to use it. I was hoping that would be in there, but that might be in the doc.
It was just my example.
I think this is it's a question of like, yes, you could do it, but should you do it? I'm not really sure. So I don't know what
you mean multiple websites or multiple languages?
Multiple languages with this kind of name schema, right? Like, so you could do it by subdomain. So like, let's say, Spanish would be es.domain.com, right? Or you could say, and what this is letting you do is, www.domain.com/es/home. And I'm not sure that's better.
Yeah. So I think I assume the issue before was that if you had it on a different subdomain, you would have like would that be a separate site? I guess you could redirect.
Yeah, it would essentially be a separate site. Yeah.
So this way you could do it on the same site, I guess.
Right. And then should you take a cookie and then edge vendor based on what language that they have? So you don't basically like, should you leak language implementation detail to the URL, right? Like, I think some sites do that, some sites don't. And I don't know what the trade-offs are. I think for apps, you do not. And then for blogs, you do. But I'm not sure that actually that's better compared to just having everyone linked to one canonical URL, regardless of language.
Yeah, it kind of ruins SEO, right?
I don't know.
Maybe not ruins, but
maybe not, right? Yeah, because maybe people specifically want the thing in some language. And it is very confusing to have one page represent multiple languages, which you could make it do.
Yep.
So I just don't know what the best practice here. And it's an interesting debate.
Yeah, so I remember I was thinking about this a while back, and like there's some Swedish site that will like force you to use the Swedish site, even if I don't want to use the Swedish site. So there's no like language picker or anything. It's just like, I guess they're looking at where I'm
your headers, your browser
sends
exactly. Headers with the language. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
and
is annoying.
That is super infuriating if you want to like get to the English website or whatever, or the other way around.
Yeah, like basic principle is you should let the user choose, and I'm not really sure how I feel about this. Yeah.
But let the user pick. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but and then another interesting angle. So this one essentially opens up one vector of clashing. So if you have like optional param /dashboard, and then you have /dashboard with no optional param, you will clash. And I don't know how it should handle that.
Yeah, there's some logic in there about how it matches the route. I don't remember exactly what it says. Yeah, so you can't have an optional route after a REST parameter. Okay.
Right. That makes sense, right? REST is greedy.
Yep.
So dot rest is greedy. That makes sense. So yeah, I don't know. I guess you could always composed dot rest into this feature, but it's nice to have it out of the box.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to do a lot of work if you did it yourself.
No, it's probably like 10 lines of work. I don't know. Maybe I'm overestimating it. But like, okay, so if you had dot rest, like you would have like essentially like a layout page that would then branch based on whatever was in the rest param, right? Like, so that's how I would think about it.
So you'd have to like rebuild the entire route system as SvelteKit if you kind of.
I mean, you're taking a chunk of the route system, and then do you have to rebuild it? Oh yeah, you may have to rebuild it. Okay, I take it back.
Yeah. Well, so now you don't have to rebuild it because you have it built in, the optional param. Go check it out. If you build international websites, I'm sure this is more for you than for those of us just building in a single language.
Has anyone tried the use enhance action, the new form action?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if I've tried the latest version of it. So there's a new update method. That lets you easily get back to the default form behavior while augmenting it. Right. Oh, I thought you could already do that. So I've not tried this particular feature out, the update one.
Yeah, it says in the docs, update is a function which triggers the logic that would be triggered if the callback wasn't set for the use enhance method. So, okay, interesting. I don't know when I would use it.
I'm going to have to try this out before I comment on it. I've used the apply action one and
call for tutorials if anyone needs
CFTs.
Like screaming at this podcast saying like, of course it's so obvious. Please write a tutorial so we can see.
We need tutorials.
Is use enhance not the form thing that
it is the form thing, but there's a new method on the form thing.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Called update.
I was going to say
we're trying to figure out what update does.
Function which triggers the logic that would be triggered if this callback.
Yeah.
That's a confusing sentence.
What callback?
Yeah. All right. So, Brittney, we're doing a stream on forums, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. One of my picks is going to be our stream November 30th. I think we have it coming up. We're going to build out. Right now, we're using Sessionize for speaker submissions on Svelte Sirens, and we're just going to build it in SvelteKit because why not?
Yeah,
and
sounds good.
What are we going to use as a backend? I didn't even think about that. You have to have somewhere to like get your form replies.
Yeah, could use Buddybase. They recently released.
I love Netlify forms, so like I could just push them all to Netlify. So
yeah, I mean that works as well. Probably don't need anything that's too complicated, right?
Yeah, that would be.
Actually,
we wouldn't even have to use SvelteKit.
I have a vague memory of someone releasing like a SaaS service that literally just receives forms. Which could be
interesting.
I
might need to do some research before we do that stream because I don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah. All right. So that's the new update method that we have no idea what it does. Tutorials, please.
Okay. No, I was thinking a little bit about it. So essentially, like use enhance is like a prevent default. It cancels any normal form submission callback that you might use, and then you sort of replace it with the function that you pass into use enhance. So the update is kind of like a callback to go back in once it's enhanced, to go back into the regular unenhanced. That's at least how I explain it. So maybe not super clear, but like I think that the analogy of prevent default and then maybe not preventing default is the right one. So
I'm still gonna need to try it. I'm just too confused. All right, and then there's something else here. Yeah,
I dropped in a last minute one that I realized yesterday. Apprite, which is a database company, went on Product Hunt and announced that they have their console 2.0 out, and it is built in SvelteKit. And I saw it in action yesterday, and it is really sharp looking. I like it a lot. And so I put a link to the Twitter post about the console and the product hunt launch, and then there's the package.json link that shows that SvelteKit is being used. I can't actually get into the console right now, so I've been a little confused for the last few minutes looking for that.
So I thought, right, yeah. So Apprite is like a Supabase, Firebase kind of
alternative,
thing, right?
yeah,
or Pocketbase as well, I guess.
Yep.
Well, that's cool that they're using Svelte.
Yeah, and
they sponsored Svelte Summit as well.
They did, yeah. Our lanyards have Apprite on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great company. That's where my Coding Cat partner, Alex, works. And one of my picks, too, is also going to be about something that we're working on that's built on Apprite. So
cool. Exciting. All right. I think that's it for topics, right? Unless you guys have anything
That's it.
else.
Yep.
That's it. Yeah. All right. Unpopular opinions. Last week, my pick was Twitter is not going to fail.
Yeah, because today, I said Twitter was going to fail, and then he had to counter me. And then I said I actually wanted to ask Sean, because you have more of that like marketing, like money brain from your financial background. Money brain. So I'm wondering what your perspective is on Twitter failing and just going bankrupt in the next year.
I don't know. Everything keeps changing.
What is happening with the world?
So up till yesterday, I would have agreed with Kev. Yesterday really changed a lot. So what happened yesterday was Elon sent an email to the entire company talking about Twitter 2.0 and saying, essentially, putting a link at the bottom saying, everyone's going to work extremely hard to make me good on my $44 billion investment. Sucks to be you, but if you're signed up to do this incredibly hard journey of making a social media app, click here. And so you have to opt in to keep your job in 24 hours. Or you get a 3-month severance and be on your way in the tech economy. In a
so ridiculous.
In an environment where
ridiculous.
There's already been 100,000 people laid off, something like that. So like this is not something to take trivially. Like anywhere between, like this is opt in to keep your job. This is not opt out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people are looking at that button today and going, man, I mean, 3 months severance, I can get a new job in 3 months, like no big deal.
But if you're in a visa situation or any other number of like situations where that you can't.
Well, I mean, so, as a visa holder myself, you have some leeway to get a new job. Some people, yes, they get shipped out immediately, but a lot of us do have some grace, particularly if it's a layoff. So I think that's okay. I mean, not okay, but like whatever. That's the way things are. But like, seriously, 90% of the existing employee base could disappear today, this week. And I don't think Elon cares very much. And so, yeah, I think there's a good chance. Like I've already backed up my data on Twitter. Like I'm prepared for shit to go down.
I requested mine, and I don't think I've gotten it yet. Their 2FA system was down.
Yeah.
So when I requested my data, it said, we're sending you a text message, put in the code. And that was one of the microservices they got rid of. So that did not work. And luckily the email one still worked. So I was able to request the data, but I don't think I've received it yet.
I'm sure it's a very popular button. I'm sure everyone clicked on that. I'm sure they have a lot of data to prep. I'm sure it's a very slow and unoptimized script because most companies do not take export of data seriously, right? Like it's not something that they're optimizing for. So I mean, it's a very unfortunate situation. Mm-hmm. The only thing I'll say is like Elon seems fairly serious about Twitter. Like this is his job now. I don't think it's the right thing. I don't agree with it at all. But he does take it. I mean, he does want to make a success of it. Like I don't think he's trying to run the company to zero, as some people are suggesting. So we'll see what happens with that. Because I mean, like, if you do that, you don't do the things that he's been doing. So it's very hard to reconcile his stated intentions versus his actions. Yeah,
I saw something about what's her name, something Shotwell at SpaceX is taking over like the CEO role there from.
I think she was always the CEO.
Oh, maybe okay.
Yeah, she's been running SpaceX for a while. It was Tesla. Tesla's the. Like, why would you drop Tesla to run Twitter? It just makes no sense. Tesla is way more important.
Yeah, the world doesn't make sense.
Things are such a mess. over there. And I heard when you do get your data, if you had anything that was in like a private circle or something that you didn't want public, that it's just kind of mixed in with your other data. It's not actually like secured away like you thought it was.
Of course, because no one bothered to think about that. Yeah. So
Nice.
Yep.
All right. So unpopular opinions then.
Do you have any?
No, you go first.
Okay.
Still thinking.
So all search is AI. I feel like people don't treat this seriously enough. What search ultimately is you typing in what you want and the computer trying its best to get it back to you. So a very simple search would be a filter, right? Like take existing list, do exact string match. And then you're like, okay, but sometimes I do typos. Sometimes I need stemming. Stemming is the process of of taking out the words. So what's an example of stemming? Does anyone know? I feel like I need some examples pre-baked. But essentially, let's say you have the word params and param. If I type in params, I want param to also show up. So that is stemming, which is like, let's reduce everything to like sort of a unit word, and then search based on that word, right? So that that's a form of AI. I want a fuzzy search, which means I need it to be resistant to typos. So if I type in Svelte or Svelte, I need both to show up, and that's there's some formulas to do with Liebenstein distance and all that. But like even that is not that great because sometimes you actually just want like the rough domain. You don't know what exact keywords to search for. So let's say like if I type in frameworks, I want Svelte and React to show up, even though the word framework is not mentioned in the exact document. So what that requires is vector search, meaning in the mental space of concepts, the word framework and the word Svelte, the word React, all exist within a nearest neighbors function to each other, and so on and so forth, all the way until you essentially get AI, where you interpret what the user's intent is and try to serve up the best intention for them. So I think a lot of people like kind of don't get this like mental progression of like search is AI, and
Right.
So I just wanted to offer it. I don't know how obvious this is to people. Is this like the first time you've heard about something like this?
I mean, I haven't heard it in that way, but I think it's obvious in hindsight once you hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Right.
So even things like, hey, the combo box that Netlify shipped, or the combo box, sorry, not the combo box, the command E, like the command key bar that every app has, right? Linear, even Alfred, or
the
command palette.
Like the VS Code command palette.
Exactly. That feeling where you type in something that you want and then it doesn't show up because you typed in, like you use the wrong word. Essentially, everyone needs some kind of language model, essentially, to serve you what you want. And I think that this is not taken seriously enough, or this is the way things are, where everything's going to end up. We're going to have very small language models embedded in anything with a text box. Because taking things literally is not the way that humans really want to interact. Humans want to interact by saying what they want, and then you give it to them, right? That's ultimately what it is.
I guess it's kind of like moving from an imperative way of thinking to like a declarative way.
Somewhat, yes.
Yeah.
With some allowance for imprecision, but like I think there are many use cases where this is totally fine. Like it doesn't have to be precise. So programming is a precise format. Like Copilot is pretty much the state of things. In my picks I have a Copilot competitor, but I think basically anywhere there's a text box. Can you imagine a better user experience? Yes, if you sort of offer some AI feature that basically, instead of taking the user literally, try to understand what the user wants and give them what they want instead of what they ask for. Very, very subtle difference.
Yep. So to sum it up, your unpopular opinion is that search is AI and not just...
Yeah. I had a different, I typed in a different one at the start as well. So all if statements eventually become AI as well. Yes. So if X more than Y, for example, that is an arbitrary hard-coded activation function that you could train with data, right? So like, let's say, sorry, am I losing you? I don't know if I should.
No, I think I.
Okay, so. All right, let's say if like percentage of positive responses is more than 0.65, do X, right? Like just an arbitrary, like anytime you've hard coded any if statement at all, that is hard coding a decision node that someone made, some product manager.
Right. Yeah.
Someone somewhere decided that, if some expression is equals evaluates to true, then do this. But that decision, or that decision node, is essentially some baked in opinion that you might change based on data, based on how people actually interact with your service. And so instead of hard coding it in your code, why don't you replace that with some feedback, some backpropagation mechanism where you observe how users respond and you update your if statement based on that. Right, like and that's ultimately what we do with human PMs that you can automate with inhuman PMs.
Poor product managers.
Yes. Not only that, so most if statements are done on an app-wide level, but with AI, you can kind of do it on a personal level. So like on an individual basis, how can you optimize for what people want?
Yeah. So I have I think a kind of interesting thing to say about this. So there was some kind of project a while back about doing analytics and using analytics to prefetch websites depending on where you go. So that would be like a very rudimentary version of this would be like, you go to the homepage, 90% of users then click on the product page. So we prefetch the product page. And if you go to the product page, we prefetch the first product or whatever. You could probably train like an AI there, because that's kind of what this is, right? You have if statements basically, but then instead of an if statement, you just feed analytics data into some kind of AI model, and out you get like a weighted score of some kind that you can use to prefetch. And then depending on, right?
Yeah. So Gatsby did a demo of this.
Really?
At Chrome Dev Summit, I think maybe 4 years ago, using Guest.js. Yeah. I think the potential is there. Obviously, the hard part is, one, getting the data, and then two, implementing it in a lightweight fashion, right? So I think there's essentially it doesn't have to be AI. It can just be feature flags where someone manually turning them on and off without changing the code. Which is essentially a CMS, right? And it could also be, just like personal settings flags. Like essentially, like I think there's a data framework somewhere to be made that offers this as a service. Like turns every branching logic in an app into something configurable and optimizable, whether by human or machine.
Yeah, sounds like $1 billion.
I don't know. I've been thinking about this. I was like, what's the potential of this? I don't think it is. I think it's just a very simple.
It's too small.
Yeah, feature flagging type of thing. And it's too small or like it's too easily built by everybody. You just have to make it an open secret that this is the best way to do to make apps.
Right. Okay. I have no unpopular opinion this week. I only have opinions about the
world is fine.
We talked about the Twitter stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, last week we talked about it. All right. And Brittney, you don't have one either, I guess?
No, I just wanted Sean's thoughts on the Twitter stuff. Right. That was kind of like just bringing all that back up. That's fine. I don't have another one.
All right. And let's move on to picks.
Okay. I know I have quite a few in here, but really it's like one thing. The AppWrite thing, I realized why I couldn't get into the console, by the way. It's because right now you have to install it locally and then host it somewhere else or self-host it. But hopefully a month, they're going to have a cloud version of it. So right now you have to run the console yourself or host or whatever. But that's why I couldn't find it earlier. My first pick is for DevRel Social, which is something that Alex was working on in Next.js. And he has a working version on his Twitter where on the banner, you can add an emoji and it will add the emoji to the banner. And so we are going to be moving that to SvelteKit. And the first one we worked on yesterday is in there as a link for our stream.
I'm going to take a look at this later. Yeah. And all right. The stream as well on the 30th.
Yeah, I have the stream in there, but we did kind of mention it earlier, but we're streaming on November 30th for Form Actions. I just have to figure out where that backend's going to be or if we're going to do
We can talk about it later or
Yeah, sounds good.
at some point. Right. Sean?
Yeah, still on AI.
Have you fallen down the AI rabbit hole?
A little bit. We'll see how far that goes. So last week, while you were at JamstackConf, there was also GitHub Universe that was going on, and they demoed Hey GitHub, which is a voice assistant for essentially GitHub Copilot plus OpenAI Whisper. It's really nice for voice coding because if you've seen any voice coding demo in the past 5 years, it's all been precise. It's all been, again, like enter in this key. If I say at all, that might be interpreted as a command. But I think what Hey GitHub is essentially like kind of like an Alexa type thing where there is some AI layer that tries to understand what you want and gives you the code that you ask for, including navigating around VS Code itself. And so I have RSI, repetitive stress injury, which means sometimes on my left hand I get pain when I type, which sounds like the most first world problem. It's like, I type too much, my hands are hurting.
Kind of rough when your job is about typing.
Yeah.
So I think I've been very excited about voice coding. I think Scott Hanselman has this very famous blog post where he basically says there's a limited amount of keystrokes that you have in your life, so you should use them wisely because your body was not evolved for typing on keyboards, and so I think voice coding could be a lot better with Hey GitHub. It's on a wait list right now, but essentially, if you talk to me, I can get you off the wait list if you're serious about giving feedback. I think that's super useful. On the non-GitHub side, because I don't want to be too much of a GitHub show, there's Codium, which I was demoed yesterday. Codium is a independently created GitHub Copilot. If you're not a fan of GitHub, or if you want to see what alternatives to Copilot look like, small team of like 4 people coded this in a month and created a complete GitHub competitor, a complete Copilot competitor. So I'm pretty inspired by like one, the fact that it was a small team that did this, but 2, also it seems to be faster than Copilot, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
I did see that. That sounds really interesting. Yeah.
All right. So my I'll be quick here because I know Brittney has to run. So my pick is a game called Stacklands. It's $5 on Stitch. What's it called? It's itch.io, not stitch.io. And it's basically just a game of you build a village. That's okay. That was the worst description of a game. Yeah, it's just like cards, and you build stuff and you fight monsters, and it's pretty cool. $5. Like huge value. And that's it. All right. I think that's it for us. Next week, we'll probably be talking to Penguin about Gradio. So that's going to be interesting.
Fun.
Hey, Penguin.
Yeah. So until next week.
Check out his talk from Svelte Summit if you haven't seen it. It's one of the most unusual talks I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very good. All right. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
See you next time. Bye.